हम 48 गर्ल्स में से 7 क्रिश्चियन हैं, बाकी हिंदू हैं।
मैं अकेली नहीं हूँ इस खेल में, मेरे जैसे हजारों लड़कियां हैं जो अपने घर से भागकर इस रेगिस्तान में दफन हो चुकी है।
When it comes to firsts and UK firsts especially, I think this is very special because Pranay is having his first UK interview, and I'm very delighted that I've been able to get that opportunity. So, firstly, a warm welcome to you on filmeshilmy.com, Pranay, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. And I'm very excited for this. Like you said, it's my first UK interview. So, as for an artist, it's always a great deal and a big deal. You know, firsts are always special. So, thank you for having me on board.
Right. Well, I think, look, we've got to address the elephant in the room, and I think that is the Kerala story. I mean, it began as a very simple film, but now it's become this whole sensation that's happening on the news.
Yeah.
चारों तरफ से घेरा हुआ है ये खबर. So
Yeah.
I think, tell me, Pranay, I think obviously the film has done really well at the box office. It is doing very well. But when
Yeah.
you see the side of the hullabaloo that it's creating in the media, how does that make you feel?
Um, See, it's something that was anyway expected because, people who would want to politicize it will do that. People who would want to create the hullabaloo around it will do that. Um, at the core of this project, we're addressing a very important issue. People may, call it whatever, different type of names. People might call it a propaganda film. People might call it a hate film or stuff like that. But at the core of it, we're just trying to address a very important issue about an ongoing racket, done by a terrorist organization in a particular state. And the film is based on a true story. So when I heard the story for the first time, and once we saw the interviews, we were all actors were given a detailed, the story and the evidences and everything as to what has gone down, and yeah, it's a true story. So uh, people will always have opinions and people will always have comments to make about it. As an artist, it's my job to stay detached from it, but at the very core of it, I'm very proud of this film. I'm very proud of the Kerala story, and I'm very proud of how we're tackling this issue because it is essentially about a terrorist organization that is under a garb of a religion, is trying to brainwash people, is trying to, recruit people. So, in that light, I think we've done something very responsible for citizens of this nation. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, I think Rameez is perhaps the darkest role you've played in your career.
Yeah.
I think I mean, I saw that in Instagram, saw a few Instagram posts of yours, and I was very curious to know because obviously एक ऐसा किरदार निभाना, I mean, I'm sure तो आप एक असली जो टेररिस्ट है उससे तो मिले नहीं होंगे आप, तो obviously
Right.
उसके लिए क्या क्या तैयारी थी आपकी? How tough was it to actually prepare for a character like that where you perhaps are only reliant on exterior sort of examples in front of you?
My approach to this character was it was basically because Rameez is a doctor, and as in the film, it says that he's right now running a pizza shop in real life somewhere in Kerala. Uh, his job, his task was to charm girls, lure girls, and send them on this path. So I sort of understood that the guy doesn't really have a soul. He's one of those people who would shoot someone 1 minute and just have a smile the very next minute like nothing ever happened. Also, the character is a very good actor. He's a very good actor. So for an actor, I had to play an actor who was enacting to be a guy who's probably in love with Adah's character, Shalini, and how he's charming her, how he's being this ideal guy for all the women out there who would love to be with someone like that. And so devil works in like God works in mysterious ways, so does the devil. And and as I had to really think of this character from a devil's perspective, as to he would really understand what gets these girls going. He would understand what it takes or what these girls are looking for in a man. And once you embody that, once you become that, it's very easy to plant seeds in their minds or manipulate them. And that's how I approach the character. A character who would on the exterior be a human, but deep inside, even though he might have his own backstory, but जितना फिल्म के दायरे में मुझे करने को मिला, I kept him as a character who doesn't really have his own rational thinking. He's on a program, and that's how he's functioning. He knows his task, that okay, he has to be a charmer, he has to embody these characteristics and fulfill his duties. So, well, if you ask me, it is actually dark and a very scary character that I got to do.
Right. And I think a lot of the characters that you have done, even Rameez for that matter, they
Yeah.
all are embodying people of today. They are representing ordinary people, I think, that can exist, and we can easily come across them as well. So,
Right.
do you feel that having that connect as well with your characters and portraying such characters, do you also think that maybe you know eh, consecutively in your career that can also help you to build that connect with the audiences because you have that very realist eye for projects as well?
Um, See, as an actor, this is my approach when it comes to playing characters. All the work that I've done, apart from Kerala Story, I have consciously chosen characters which are very real life like. Obviously, it comes with a lot of observation of the real world, observation of the self, and understanding where all of us, we might be very different people. You might be Anuj sitting in UK, I might be Pranay sitting in Mumbai, but all of us feel certain emotions in a very similar way, and even the way we react is also in a very similar fashion. Uh, so I am very curious about human behavioral studies, and that somewhere really helps me in performing and really connecting with characters who are there in day-to-day lives. And everyone has their own struggle, everyone has their own battle. It's when you get that character and you get to glorify those things for yourself in your head, because that's exactly how the character feels in his or her real life. So I think once you establish that kind of a connect with your character, um, it becomes so real that audience members also tend to connect, with the character, with the emotion that you're trying to portray, because through acting, commonality of emotions and projection of emotions is actually what we aim for. And that's how we sort of aim to connect with the audience. Of course, the story helps, the direction helps, but that is my sort of an approach. And I hope, I mean, till now, the audiences have been reacting and connecting to all the characters that I've done and I've pulled off. So that gives me the confidence that okay, somewhere I'm on the right path. Because with acting, you never know. There's no one way to do a character or to pull off a role. There's a lot of permutation combinations. So yeah, I hope that was the question, and I hope the answer is
Yeah,
satisfactory.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. The experience of working on OTT and and on screen. See, people say content is content, an actor's job is an actor's job, but I think the vision changes significantly because when something is made specifically for a medium, it is bearing in mind
Yeah.
what that audience demands and what they are craving for. So I think for you,
Sure.
have you also noticed a slight distinction when it comes to the mediums and the content made for that medium as well?
Right, right. There is certainly a distinction because it's harder to write a series because you're writing 10 episodes of, let's say, 45 minutes each, and your writing has to be so gripping. Your characters have to be gripping, that they can hold the audience for those 10 episodes. Because for ordinary people, they would just, switch on the series, 1 or 2 episodes, and if it's not hooking you enough, then the chances are that people will not continue with it. So when it comes to content creation, I think web series generally have to be far more gripping, and they're far more difficult to make. as opposed to films, because once you start a film, you can finish it in 2.5 hours. Whereas for a series, it's, you get that mentality in your head that, okay, it's a binge watch, so I'm watching it over the weekend. Sometimes I'm unable to. Sometimes I'm sure with us also it happens that we start a lot of shows, but we don't carry on with them. You know. From an acting perspective, I feel that the characters in a web series are more layered because you get these 45 minutes per episode, and you sort of create an independent arc for the character throughout the series. And for an actor, that's a very satisfactory thing, because then you have these range of emotions that you can portray. In our country, we are still fighting or creating cinema, which on one hand is very much the typical Bollywood heroism kind of films, where you have one main guy, and the world revolves around him and the rest of the characters revolve around him, which I personally don't relate to that kind of cinema. But On the other hand, we have different set of filmmakers who are coming up and who are creating very realistic films. For example, the Kerala story, where each and every character is getting something to do. There's an arc. There is, it's everyone coming together trying to create a story. So I guess that's the major distinction between an OTT and a film. And if you'd ask me, I enjoy working on both mediums. Series, however, take much longer to shoot because it's like a 2, 3 month affair. If you're shooting about 10 episodes of 45 minutes duration, then it roughly goes up to 80 to 90 days. Whereas a film, depending on the nature of the film, but if it's just purely drama, it would take about 30 days. If it's
Right.
action, it would take about 75, 60 days.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's pretty much the distinction between OTT and web series. But I feel the fact that OTTs have come up, the fact that the OTTs got propelled into everyone's living rooms because of COVID, I think that somewhere has really given a lot of filmmakers, a lot of content creators a run for their money, because now you have a very healthy competition between people who are trying to tell interesting, realistic stories because of the demand, and people are sort of spending their time more on OTTs and connecting more with the shows because they really like the kind of content that is being made and the effort that is being put, and these new directors, writers, actors who are getting the chance to showcase their talent. It's very refreshing. So I guess it's a good time to be an actor. Yeah.
Mm. I loved you in Guilty Minds, actually. I think that was a really wonderful sort of work of yours.
Thank you.
You've got a
Thank you.
great body of work. But I think with the Kerala story, I feel like because every actor, I mean, they'd always do good work, but then there always comes that one title which I think really pushes the boundary for them and becomes a huge game changer, I think, in their career. Do you kind of
Yeah.
forget the Kerala story is that title? And I think also,
Yeah.
yeah, go on. If you could please explain that one, then obviously I've got another really heavy follow-up question, which I think needs to sort of be asked as well. So go ahead.
Right. No, definitely. I feel the response that we're getting to the Kerala story is so. Uh, I did not anticipate it. I did not imagine. And it's in life they say that it's the things that you don't anticipate end up being huge. And this is a classic example of that. For sure, this story, like I said, is very special to me. But the fact that in a population of 1.5 or 4 billion right now, you have half of the country talking about it, half of the country raving about it, going to the cinema halls, and every day we're getting this news, we're getting so much of love, support, messages. It's very overwhelming. Of course, I'm overjoyed with it, but it is extremely overwhelming because for an actor, the biggest dream is they want an audience, and when you have an audience, an Indian audience, and in the scale and the number that we are seeing, it's truly special. So for sure, this project will always stand out for me.
Right. And I think what the Kerala story has done, I think similar for the Kashmir Files as well last year, where really it kind of makes one really identify the two views on freedom of expression. I feel like this is one wave that everyone loves to sort of one flag everyone loves to wave is about the whole freedom of expression or वो सब कुछ. But there definitely seems to be like because there've been calls on banning the film and protests against the film. I think for you as an artist, how has it made you really identify the perspectives of freedom of speech?
I feel, you know, with everything that's going on, whether the film is getting banned and the from certain section of people, it's people are really opposing it, and people are saying that, no, this is going to create furore and it's going to create some sort of riots and etc. etc. I feel whenever you tell a story, uh, uh, it's always important to just firstly hear it out. The criticism and everything can come on later. There was an entire drama about the fact that, oh, the claim is 32,000 girls. Now you've come down to three girls. The idea is that, listen, this film is a story of three girls. The claim still is 32,000. Why? Because there are other 32,000 stories which are very similar to what happened to this. So that's the claim. But people just it things just end up getting mixed. There's misinformation. People try to confuse you because they cannot convince you. So in that entire game, sometimes you really lose the plot of what and why this film is being made, whether it's Kashmir Files, whether it's Kerala Story. On the other hand, if you notice uh, that even as, let's say, filmmakers living in India, we also create shows like Ashram, which is about a fake guru. There's again another film that is being made on Asaram Bapu. Plus, there are other films that always expose the scams and of religious gurus and everything that is happening in the country and outside of the country. We also have a web show on Osho on Netflix, Wild Wild West, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, see, we should be tolerant of all these messages, because what's happening here is not that the film is being created to create some kind of some kind of distinction between, or some kind of an image for something else. No, I think because there is freedom of expression is the reason why we live in a democratic country. The filmmakers have the right and they have the freedom to showcase a particular story. You can disagree with it. That's all right. No one's going to say that, no, your point is wrong. You can disagree with it. You can have your own opinions and ideas. But I feel like people just paint all of this in a very one-sided way, that, no, you're making us a film on Muslims. The idea is, no, that's not the truth. We're making a film against terrorist organization, which is ISIS, which has its agents in India. And, there are a lot of sleeper cells in this country, and all of us are aware about it. We read about it in the news, and that's how they're operating. So it's scary that the person next to you might be, involved in some activity. Sure, you don't know that. But the idea is not to generalize. The idea is for you to be more rational and cautious with your own decisions. Whether it's a fake guru, whether it's a god man who's trying to manipulate you into doing things, whether it's some other guru from some other religious sect trying to, the idea is to generate this feeling, this habit of questioning things in the audience. Question things. If you're sure, you can be spiritual, you can be religious, but if you are being asked to carry out or do certain things, question why this is important, question what's the significance, question why you have to do it, question why it's not making sense to you. So I feel these topics are very tricky and absolutely sensitive, but that doesn't mean that no films should be made around it, or it should be completely ignored, because I feel at the end of the day, as much as films are supposed to be entertaining and help us an escape into another fantasy away from reality, it's also a film's responsibility to show the mirror to the society and say that, look, this is also what's happening on in your country, in your neighborhood, in your area, and it's very easy to live in your own bubble and make that bubble very rosy. So life is rosy and it's comfortable, but you need to be aware with what's happening around you, because especially in today's generation, when 90% of the people are hooked onto Instagram or social media in general, and TikToks of the world, etc., etc. How many of the people are actually aware and of what's happening in the country? And somewhere a lot of us just get complacent. We get desensitized to the fact that, okay, if things are happening, yeah, sure, there must be some reason behind it. Why should I go bang my head against the wall to understand what happened, what went wrong. So I guess time to time, such films are necessary to create awareness.
Right.
To sort of make people understand that just these are the things that are happening around you, and it's always important to just know that.
Right. No, very well said. And I think also it really is a global issue. I mean, even here in the UK, we have the case of Shamima Begum and the Bethnal Green trio as well,
Right.
who at a very young age, they were just teenagers and they had run to become, ISIS brides. And I think it absolutely shook our country. So, Kerala story definitely is a major, incident for India as well. And I think
Yeah, there is. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you. There's another series on Netflix
Caliphate,
called Caliphate,
yeah,
about Sweden and the things that are going. So you understand that these organizations are working on a global mass level, and it's a country like Sweden has nothing against Muslims as such or a particular religion as such, but the fact that they're making this is because it's a true story even in their country. There are these organizations who are working under a garb of some religion, and they are trying to do all of this. So it's important that on a global level people see this and understand this, and just get a basic idea about what's happening.
right. But I have to
Yeah.
say, Pranay, and I asked Ada this question because for her to play a character of this nature, I mean, it must have
Yeah.
been very emotionally and mentally taxing. For
Yeah.
you as a character who obviously is, portrayed in the negative light, how tough was it for you to emotionally and mentally disconnect from it? Because it must have been quite a lot. It must have been very overwhelming, I'm sure.
I can fortunately I'm able to switch on and off on set, where I don't really complicate things with my characters. I understand at the end of the day, this is a job. I understand that at the end of the day, I'm playing a character that I understand. And, even though there was no empathy, this is for the first time it's happening with me. I wasn't able to empathize with the character that I'm playing. But still, in order to understand what his ideologies are, and how those ideologies, because they run as a program in his head, how they control him, his actions, and what he does. And so whenever I would go on set, I would switch on the Rameez character in me. I would understand that these are the ideologies that I have been fed, and this is my task, and this is my job, and I would just go on do that. And the moment it's cut, I switch back because, like you said, it's a very dark space to be in. It's a very a tricky space to be in. And honestly, if you're not built like that, if you're not programmed like that, it'll always be very difficult for you to connect to a character that you're playing, which is so dark, in its nature. So I would just switch on and off, with Rameez, because to be very honest, someone sent me his Instagram profile the other day, and
What?
that he's there on that he's there on Instagram. And for a second, my heart skipped a beat, and I was like, wow. I mean, this is the guy I'm playing, and this is I wouldn't even say it's surreal. It's just I just couldn't understand. I just didn't know how to react to that. Uh, you know. So yeah, I don't think you can ever relate, connect. Uh, Even if this character was in jail, let's say, and I had to go and talk to him, I really don't know how I would do that, because how do you connect to demons? How do you connect to people who have no soul? Yeah, it's like connecting a charger into an electricity board that has no electricity. What are you gaining out of that? So I had my own perspective about the character, and I tried and played it, obviously, as as truly as I could, and I did that, but I did not complicate my thoughts or head space into playing Rameez so much. I just went and did things that simply were told or asked of me to do. So yeah,
Right.
kept it like
Wow.
that.
I'm so fearful. The fact that he's on Instagram, I mean,
Yeah.
so as an outsider, Pranay, I think, when one decides to become an actor, they always have stars in their eyes. There's always that bade ख्वाब that they have. But having played a very meaty role, like Rameez in the Kerala story. What goals or ambitions do you now have as an actor? What is that wish list that you have or want to fulfill now?
At the most basic core of it, I chose to be an actor because I love storytelling, you know. So if not acting, I would also would have, explored something like direction, explored something like editing, because again, these are also very different mediums of storytelling. You can shoot a film in a particular way, but if you edit in a different way, it's a different story altogether. So I'm very fascinated, by the world of filmmaking as to how you can tell the same story in just so many different ways. Um, so keeping that in mind, I choose my roles. Keeping that in mind, I try and experiment. Because the thing is, all the actors are hungry for stories or characters that sort of challenge them to push their own boundaries and to outdo themselves. So that is something that I keep in my mind, and it's a very conscious choice of what I want to do and why I want to do it. Uh, Other than that, my vision with my entire career or with acting as such is that I would, love to be a part of stories like that would, for example, is to, do India's first space film and whether it's ISRO, whether it's putting Indian astronauts into the space, that's a dream for me. I would also love to do something like Swades, Shah Rukh Khan movie Swades, would love to do something like that as well. So I am drawn to human stories. I'm drawn to stories of underdogs. I'm drawn to stories of, obviously being a guy, action films and all these things come naturally to us that, oh, why not play something like that? But I look at my characters more for the experience. So whether it's me trying to play a Yashpal Sharma in Shersha, which really gave me a 2 months exposure into the life of an army man, or me playing a lawyer in Guilty Minds, Shubhrat, again exposing me to a very different type of world, or me playing Rameez from Kerala Story. There's also another series that I did. It's called Crash Course, in which I play a physics professor based in Kota. So again, all these characters come with so much of life experiences. They come with so much of exposure to that world that somewhere it really enriches me as a person and widens my horizon in understanding humans in general. So yeah, that's pretty much my vision to carry on doing this. Hopefully someday, be in a position where I can convert the stories that I have written, the stories that I want to produce, stories that I want to make, reach a level where I'm able to do that as well. So that is what keeps me going here.
Wow. Well, that sounds really wonderful. I think, yeah, I really relate with that whole underdog story, and I can see you sort of adapting that very, very well in your career. But look, I know, Pranay, you have to rush because you've got a few other
Yeah,
errands to run. But I want
yeah,
to firstly thank you so much for, taking the time out to speak with me. And
of
I know
course.
the timings have been really odd in terms of us trying to arrange this, but can't wait to watch Kerala Story. I think it will be releasing in the UK, I think this week. So
Right.
hopefully we get a chance to watch the film, and I can't wait to see your
Yes.
and the issue.
Well, yes.
So, I'm
Yes.
sure it's awakened you as well, right, about this issue and all of that as well. Do you kind of feel like you're a different Pranay now after sort of reading
Yeah.
and viewing the film as well?
In fact, after every role, that I do, and the world that I come from, I do carry all that exposure with me, and that really helps me, in being someone who can have a wholesome understanding and knowledge of the world. I can understand a world of a professor to a lawyer to now a terrorist, and there's so many worlds coming together. So for me, it's like I'm living in parallel universes, portraying different characters and roles. And definitely, every character, every story, leaves an impression. It leaves a mark, and you walk out of it as a wiser human.
Right, wonderful. Well, look, on that note, Pranay, wishing you all the very best and heartiest
Thank you.
congratulations once again. And thank you so much on behalf of filmishilmy.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuj. I hope you let me know how you felt the film was and how you found, all of our performances collectively, if it
Yeah,
impacted you or not. Yeah.
I
So
will
thank
do.
you for that.
I will
Thank
do.
you for having me on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranay. Thank you.